Class 5, Chapter 5, I Can and I Will, Part 2. So, dear students, we were studying about Deepa Malik. Deepa Malik was a famous personality. She was famous because she was the first Indian woman ever to win a medal in Paralympics. So we studied about her childhood and we studied that she was very active. She participated in all the activities in school and in college, even though she was sick. And she was a swimmer, she was a biker, she was a car rallyist, she was a motivational speaker. So she excelled in all the fields. And we also studied what happened to her, what were the problems faced by Deepa Malik. And we studied about her family. Her husband was an army officer and she had got 2 daughters. Now we are going to study about the tragedy that happened to her. Now, let us read the 5th paragraph of the chapter. However, in 1999, while her husband was away fighting in Kargil, Deepa was left paralyzed chest down after a surgery. Never someone who would give up, she fought to lead her life to the best of her abilities. She learned how to use a wheelchair. She arranged for intercoms and walkie-talkies across the house to oversee household chores which she was unable to perform physically. She was, however, happy and she could spend more time with her daughters Devika and Ambika, who became her arms and legs, running errands on her instructions, while she remained the heart and brain of the household. Other people read books for inspiration. We had our mother, says Devika proudly. Deepa Malik was suffering from a disease right from her childhood. She had a tumor in the upper spinal column and she underwent several surgeries during her childhood itself. Even though she was sick, even though she was under treatment, she was active in all fields. She participated in almost all the activities she could in school and college. So she was a very active person even though she was sick. But in 1999, something happened, something very tragic happened to her life. When her husband was away fighting in Kargil, her husband was not there with her at that particular time because he was fighting. He was a soldier, as you all know. He was an army officer and he was fighting in Kargil. At that time, Deepa Malik underwent a surgery. And after the surgery, she was paralyzed chest down. What do you mean by paralyzed? Paralyzed means unable to move a body part. So she was unable to move her body. Only her hands and head. She can move only her hands and head. So she was paralyzed chest down after that surgery. So for a normal person, it is a big tragedy. They can't survive, isn't it? They can't do anything without their body, without moving their body. How can they do their normal activities? They can't do anything. But she overcome everything. She was able to overcome everything. She learned how to use wheelchair. Now she cannot walk because she cannot move her legs. So she cannot walk. So she learned how to use a wheelchair. Then she arranged for intercoms and walkie-talkies across the house to oversee the household chores. So she was unable to move from one room to another easily. So what did she do? She arranged intercoms. Intercoms are actually communicating devices, and she arranged walkie-talkies across the house so that she can talk to the other members of the home very easily. She can talk to her daughters, to talk to other members, talk to servants, and she can oversee, she can supervise all the works of her home. So she was trying to overcome her problems. She was paralyzed. She cannot move by herself. She cannot move her body. But she learned to use wheelchair and she arranged intercoms and walkie-talkies so that she can communicate with every person in the home and so that she can supervise all the works done at home. She was, however, happy that she could spend more time with her daughters, Devika and Ambika. Now she is paralyzed. After the surgery, she was paralyzed and she is now at home itself. But she is happy because she can spend more time with her daughters Devika and Ambika. So what are the names of her daughters? Devika and Ambika. And she was able to look after them properly, and she was able to supervise all the things done at home, all the works of at home. So she was actually happy. And it is said that Devika and Ambika, the two daughters, they were the arms and legs, and she was the heart and brain of house, because Devika and Ambika used to do all the works under their mother's supervision. Okay, and other people read books for inspiration. We had our mother, said Devika. So Devika, they used to say Devika and Ambika, they both of them are very proud of their mother, because even though she was having lot of problems, even though she was a disabled person, she achieved a lot. And her daughters Devika and Ambika are very much proud of their mother. Now the sixth paragraph. Despite all adverse circumstances, Deepa never gave up on her love for sports. She became the first person with chest down paralysis to swim against the current for a kilometer in the Yamuna in 2008. A year later, she rode her custom-made motorcycle and entered the Limca Book of Records for riding the first special motorcycle for differently abled. After receiving her special driving license, she set multiple records by driving 3,000 kilometers from New Delhi to Leh through high-altitude passes and 3,278 kilometers from Chennai to New Delhi. Despite all adverse circumstances. What were the adverse circumstances? Because she was sick. She was diagnosed with tumor on her spinal cord. She underwent a surgery and she was paralyzed chest down. These are the adverse circumstances. She was not able to move. She was not able to move her body because she was paralyzed. Even though she was suffering from all these conditions, Deepa never gave up on her love for sports. She had a great passion for sports and she never gave up. She became the first person with chest down paralysis to swim against the current for a kilometer in the Yamuna in 2008. So she became the first person to swim against the current, against the flow of water. Against the current means against the flow of water for almost 1 kilometer in Yamuna. So she was able to swim for almost 1 kilometers in the river Yamuna in 2008, and she was the first person with a disability to do that. That was a great achievement, isn't it? A person who was paralyzed chest down was able to do that, was able to swim against a current in the river Yamuna. That was a great achievement. Then a year later, she rode her custom-made motorcycle and entered the Limca Book of Records for riding the first special motorcycle for the differently abled. Again, she entered the Limca Book of Records for what? For riding her custom-made motorcycle. Custom-made motorcycle means a motorcycle designed specially for her because she was not able to move her legs, isn't it? So this particular motorcycle was specially designed for her purpose, and she was able to ride this motorcycle, and she entered the Limca Book of Records for riding the first special motorcycle for the differently abled. After receiving her special driving license, she was a disabled person, so she received her special driving license. She got a special driving license, and after she got that, she set multiple records by driving almost 3,000 kilometers from New Delhi to Lahore and 3,278 kilometers from Chennai to New Delhi. So that was a great achievement, isn't it? She was suffering from lot of problems, lot of health issues. Even though she was suffering from lot of health issues, she traveled a lot in her custom-made motorcycle. She traveled a lot. She traveled 3,000 kilometers. Just imagine 3,000 kilometers from New Delhi to Leh and 3,278 kilometers from Chennai to New Delhi. She covered a great distance all alone in her motorcycle. So she was a great personality. She had confidence. She was determined to do all these things, even though she was suffering from a lot of problems.